What's happening, wrestling card collectors? Hey, welcome back to, I don't even know what episode we're going to call this. It's not a collector series. It's not a monthly recap. It's a special series where we're going to be talking about the wrestling card collector series. And we've got, the main guy here who designed the damn thing. First off, we got Adrian here. We're kicking off 2024, man, to talk about how we closed out 2023. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good, man. Nice to see you. Adrian, nice to see you too.
Good to finally see you too, Paul.
Yeah. Oh, finally.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first time that we've seen each other face to face.
Oh,
it's just been emails.
We've just been doing back and forth, which don't forget with me and Grim back in the day with the original Price Guide book.
Yeah.
We never had this. We went the entire way with that project, start to finish, just on emails. You spoke to him. I never did. So
I had many a conversation with him.
And Adrian came up and I said, man, nice to see your face, brother. First thing I said.
I know. That was the first
there'd be some days where we'd be back and forth several times a day. Completely. And I'll talk about how great Adrian was.
Oh, that explains why my text messages get delayed coming back to me. I get it now. I see how it is. Well, we're here today. We're going to discuss, try to break down as much as we can because there's a lot to discuss when it comes to these wrestling card collector series. Where I know Paul and I thought we were going to be one and done with the series, and then it turns out we had a bunch of other critters out there that needed to be in a series as well. So we did a second series, and we're going to kind of cover both of those series in this episode here. We're going to discuss the origins of the entire project, I think. So, Paul, do you remember the conversation when we first started talking about this?
Yeah, I remember it was kind of funny because we were on the phone talking about other business. And then you mentioned the notion of a series of guys. I was already onto that. And Adrian and I had already started the project and done a few designs back and forth. And we zeroed in on the design, started off with my picture, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go. Then we had that conversation, and you'd said that, oh, this idea about a series of collectors. I said, well, funny you mentioned that, going to the Waxateria set. And I guess I should start with that. When Joe and Joe did the Waxateria set, unbeknownst to me and you, I think, they made a trading card of us, and I was like thrilled to be included in that. They made one of Chuck, they made one of Pack England, and I thought that was so nice. But it was a surprise to me. I didn't provide any artwork. I didn't provide, they just made the card and as a gesture put it out, and I thought that was amazing, and it felt so cool. I thought to myself, well, there are other guys in our hobby, like a lot of people in the mainstream like us that do what we do and deserve that same kind of thing, and Adrian and I had zeroed in on, and we're going to let you speak about the design in a second, Adrian. We zeroed in on the design, and I kind of liked, okay, this is going to work. And then around that time was just about the time, Tony, that you opened your store. And you took that picture of you and your son, Anthony. And as soon as I saw that picture, I fell in love with it. And I immediately sent it to Adrian. I said, crop this, make a card, please. And it came back, and I said, okay, if this project never gets any further than this, right? I'm making this card because I thought it'll be so cool 20, 30 years down the road, 10 years down the road when Anthony sees this card of him at that age when you opened your store.
Yeah. And we took that picture on the grand opening day.
Right.
That's cool.
So then I did Chuck, right? And I remember Chuck sent me a picture, sent it to Adrian. Adrian did it. Chuck looked at it and said, no, you know what? I don't really like this picture. Do me a favor. Try this one, right? And we did it. Adrian put it in. And Chuck said, that's great. And then I sent them to you. And I sent you your picture first. All right. And then I think your comment at that point was about the font of the wrestling card series. And
I believe you're right.
We'll let Adrian talk about the whole design process. And then I think that was it. I'm like, okay, it's a go. I'm going to make these now. And then we'll talk about the metal part of it. That happens when I come down to see you a couple weeks later. But let's go back to Adrian, you and I, when I first said, okay, here's the idea. It was not last year, the year before. It was around November. Where
it was the end of 2021.
Yeah,
2022.
2022, end of 2022. Yeah.
And I remember thinking with the Waxateria set, it would be nice if we could do guys on the front line of the hobby, but it also specify where they're from. Do a little blurb that I interact with them, so it's specific to them. Then also, what's your favorite card set, or what's your most prized collection? And then who's your favorite wrestler? I thought, now you got something, right? Because now you got information about guys that we interact with daily with some fun stuff about them. So even if you don't know them, it's fun just to look at a card and get that stuff. But it started off with Adrian. You know, I gave him the idea, and I'll let you speak. I remember
Well,
National
actually,
Treasures was
if
on
I
my
don't know if
mind.
y'all I don't know if y'all remember, it actually started. You guys actually talked about this on an episode, like once upon a time. I don't know if y'all remember that, because you remember. I've watched all you guys' episodes, so y'all actually brought
Thanks
that
for
up.
that, by the way.
Yeah, I think y'all brought it up the year before, randomly talking about it in one of your roundtables. So it actually goes back to that. So, but you want me to talk about the design, or just the whole
Like
thing?
when we started just with Collector Series 1, when I first, I didn't put a lot of parameters on it, but I remember having National Treasures in mind.
Yeah.
And, you didn't rip that off, but that's sort of the direction you went. And then I remember
Right.
it came back with
What it was, that was just something it was something, an original design I was tinkering with, just playing around with it. I mean, you guys know I imitate a lot of stuff,
of course.
but there's some things that I do on my own. I'm just like, well, let me just try this or try that. That was one of those things. I'm just like, I haven't used this for anything. So I'm just like, well, maybe it'll go good with this. And I was iffy at first about the black background and cutting people out, but it actually worked out pretty well. So, and
It gave consistency.
Right. And then
that was like my first thing when you sending me the images, Paul. I was like, I don't know if I like this, removing the background slat and the black and stuff like that. But then the more I kept seeing more images coming to me, like that, I go, actually, this kind of works. And for me, from my design point, I was thinking from the metals, like, okay, this is going to help pop those metals out even more when the metals get done. And you got to wait to see these, Paul. These metals are going to be great. Trust me, they're going to be great. They're going to be great. And so it really worked, and it grew on me. And now I love the whole concept of having the black background.
And honestly, I know, again, the color scheme and everything, it's a bit hit or miss with some people. I know this, so I mean, I see the comments, whatever.
Yeah.
It's only probably about 1% of people that don't like it. But I mean, I'll just say this. I'll look in the camera and say it.
That's pretty.
I
pretty
at
bad.
least. I'm just saying. I'm gonna look at the camera and say this. At least I got the guts to put my talent out there.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Like so, 0.5%. It's like not even a full person.
Precisely. So I'm sitting there. I'm just like, and then again, I know as far as the font goes for the text, I just wanted something rugged to go with the, the clean, I guess, the lines I had for the framing. I think it balances a little bit.
I liked it right away. Back in the day, I used to make records, CDs, and cassettes for bands and stuff. And whilst I wasn't the artist, I was the guy that ran the whole thing. So everything would go through me, and I'd look at things. And usually I'd find, and same with music and stuff, is that my first reaction is normally the right one. You know what I mean? So I don't like to look at something 50 times over to try and get it right. My first or second impression is normally it, and then we fine tune it. And I remember the burgundy color I liked right away because I bought myself a pair of eyeglasses last year and the frames were burgundy. So we were joking one night about burgundy being my color for the year. And just coincidentally, you threw in burgundy. It had that sort of National Treasures look, not quite, but cool. And I thought, this is the right kind of vibe for a bunch of collectors, not famous people, but for a hobby set, so to speak.
Right.
So
that's what I was looking for personally.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I didn't want to design something like extremely high end. I mean, basically a super base set.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A super base set. That's basically what I was thinking about. But I still wanted it to be eye catching enough that it's different. You know what I mean?
What about the backs? Then you went now you had to start with a completely different train of thought to tie in the backs to the front somewhat.
Right. The back, I mean, well, most of that is just your work, Paul, coming up with the blurbs and all that stuff. But
well, I didn't. People sent them to me. I was just
moving
stuff around.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, the back, it was just keeping it simple too. Just more some curves, right? Some curves, and make sure everything would be centered. So I gave it some framing on the outside and everything, just to make sure it was readable and make sure make sure your eyes followed what it was supposed to. Didn't want it to be too busy, but still wanted to give it some shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was very pleased.
That
I
lets
think Tony was as
lets
well.
you in on my design process when I think about things. I mean, I again, when you go to graphic design school, they tell you about these things. You know what I'm saying? Keep things readable, make sure things
Balance.
flow correctly, balance. So, you know, I
Mhm.
mean, but yeah, that
Yeah, the back design very much complements the front design too, with the black, borders broken up by the burgundy cut points and stuff like that. So it all kind of flows nice like that. And so again, I wasn't a fan originally of the cutout of the black backgrounds, but it grew on me. And then I go, you know what? This is the right direction to go with this. This actually flows nice and it complements the front and back very well. So when
and
I had to
now
go back and I had to re-edit the backs to accommodate the metal cards, I did all the metal stuff, the
right.
back metals. I had to use that template and go through and make it fit, because like, holy crap, like this person's where they come from is really long and it was not going to fit.
No.
I got to change that font
Yeah.
size to fit in that,
There was a lot of
so
that.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of that. But
Especially on the sets where people's favorite cards, where, I knew what my tolerances were. And a few times I go to Adrian and say, okay, is this okay? Am I going too far into where the potential cut line is? And he'd say, no, I think you're good on that one, but no, go down a point size on this one.
Right.
And it was that kind of thing, But then,
Yep.
then I came to see you in January. And by then I said, okay, I've seen, like, by that point, Adrian had designed probably about a dozen or so cards. And I was feeling good about the project. And that's when you said introduced to the concept of the metals. And I didn't forecast, nor did you, what was going to happen because of the metals. But I love the idea of the value add, and you had the facility to do them locally, and you knew the guys down there that were, so you could facilitate that part of the production process as well as the retailing. So it's like, okay, this is a true partnership now. This is something where Tony and I are going to be involved. And from that moment on, you and Chuck were involved in everything I was doing. Like, you guys, as soon as the card was made, you guys saw it. You know what I mean? Just for fun, really, because Chuck used to love getting his daily.
Yeah.
Who's next? Who
Really.
And that was kind of fun too, because every time an email came in from Adrian, and I always get the name wrong. It's Kage Effects is how you pronounce the company name?
Kage.
Every scene I saw that, I'm like excited. Who's this?
People say Cage. I don't even care at this point anymore. It
looked like Cage with a K.
I know. I accept it. But,
I'm sure you said
that's how it's
just on a tangent. Where does that come from? What is that?
It's Japanese. It means shadow.
You need to go back to an old episode where I interviewed this gentleman and he explained it.
I remember. No, I remember
Right.
Adrian. I just don't recall that specifically.
Right. I'll explain it again for the people that don't know. It's just, I mean, a long time ago, when I was still in Charlotte, I would do club flyers and things like that. People would tell me my work was everywhere, but nobody knew who I was. So I always say I was kind of like a ninja. So I kind of made myself a brand called the Graphics Ninja. So, and one thing that's tied to ninja is shadow in Japanese. That's what Kage means, shadow. So I built a whole, like, logo and brand all around that. That's what it means. Kage means shadow. It's basically shadow graphics. So
love it. It's great.
And then beyond the cards,
this is what a few times you'll see me. I mean, you rarely see my face, but you know my work. That's all.
Well, your logo,
know my voice
with wrestling cards. And then there was the promo stuff. Adrian designed, the coming soons and all that stuff that we used to put out there, which was part of the arrangement we worked out, which I thought was awesome too. And a lot of people commented, "Wow, this looks like something." And it's like, yeah, it's going to be something.
Yeah. I mean, who knew it was going to be what it is? But we got into the metal phase and stuff like that. And I remember we were discussing it. Did I show you samples when you were here for the metal cards? Yeah, I think I did. Right.
You showed me the honky, because
that's right.
Honky was there the week before, right?
Correct.
And I remember looking at it, and we discussed the cost, because we were sort of talking at that point, you recall, about why is there a problem here that Chris is out of it, to get affordable cards made. It seemed to be you'd have to go to your tops kind of places, or you design your card online and pay a silly amount of money. It's like, no, I should be able to make 100. And that's when we started the process of research, and I found the company that I deal with, and you made the acquaintance with the comic guys and we looked at the numbers, and when you said, well, it's going to cost us this, and I said, well, that doesn't really hurt the sell price of the set. I want the set out at $40 with the custom box with 50 cards. And we figured, okay, that's money that we're not going to make, but boy, does that make the set fruitful to have that metal card in there. Not knowing what would happen. I call it the metal explosion.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it'd be fun. I personally, for me, I thought it was fun because I was already getting them done. I think I sent you and Chuckster one for Christmas.
Yes.
Of the one that we took from the National.
Of our cards.
Our cards from the National that we did at the Panini booth.
That's right.
And
Oh, I didn't
so
know
I thought,
those existed. Man, y'all got
yeah,
your own
yeah,
one-on-ones out there.
we
That's pretty
do
cool.
actually. So I made a metal card for each of us, based on Panini had their
Yeah.
booth there, and they had their color blast, a background drop. So you sat in this thing and it put you like in an angular thing, so it looked like you were surrounded. You know, it was really nice how they did it. So they sent it to you, I think, National Sports Convention 2022, blah blah blah. It's like that.
Digital or physical?
They sent you
Oh,
digital.
A
Yeah.
digital card. Okay.
Yes. So they sent a digital version. So I sent that over to the print shops like that. They're like, yeah, we can absolutely make this into a
Nice.
card. So I fit that in there, and they printed it out for us. And I thought it'd be kind of a cool little Christmas gift to send to Chuckster and Paul, and that's what it was. So I had that as my demo. And then when I had Honky Tonk Man in for my grand opening guest, for each guest that I've had in so far, I've made one metal card for myself, just for each one that has come in. Everything else either has been given away to those who purchase a combo package. Whatever's left over, I sell to help offset my print costs. And then I just kept one for myself, just for the metal card. So I had that to show Paul when he came here. It's like, he goes, "Holy shit, this is like, it's actually all metal. It's like, it's really, it's
nice.
metal."
Like if I got this in the set, I'd be, oh, this is something.
Yeah, but the metal, because of the shininess of it, and here's, I'll show the sample that I have. We use this as a test run for Cardona. So I picked him to do our test run of it, so to make sure it was going to line up and look right. And it it came out nice, and certain colors really popped on that. That shininess of that metal really made it pop. And so I thought, God, this would be kind of cool. I mean, I hope people find it as cool as I think, but you don't know. You don't know if they're going to think that.
I'm gonna tell you the coolest thing about those. Most of the time, especially like when you order them online and stuff, the corners are rounded. Those are square.
Correct.
Those are really unique metal cards. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Now, here's the thing about it. Funny you mentioned that, because I've actually had one. So Honky Tonk was my first guest. Atom Bomb was my second. And then I had Victoria in as my third guest. On the Victoria one, they messed up my order and sent me the metal card rounded corners, because they make most of their cards are rounded corners. They didn't start making sharp corners until I came to them with design ideas of what I want to do for card sets.
Really?
And I want to make card sets for the local independent scene here, and they're all interested. It's just a matter of me playing around with designs, with their budget, and figuring out designs too. I gotta, I'm not you, Adrian. I play with what I can play with, and I have limited design knowledge, but I'm not you. I can't make these really beautiful pieces of artwork. And so
it's not that bad.
It's trust me, it's far different, my friend.
No, guys like Adrian are rare. Like Adrian has talent, like real legit talent.
So it's just
like, you know how to do what you do on a computer, but the designerly skill, I call it. Like some guys just know, and they just have it. Like some people are great cartoonists.
It took me a while to learn how to do that, though. I mean, I sharpened the saw daily almost.
Yeah.
So when I presented the idea to these guys, my first couple of cards that came out for, again, Honky Tonk and Atom Bomb and then Victoria, I think even with Melina, when I had Melina in as my fourth guest, they were all the same type of card thickness that I didn't, they were gaming card thickness, and I wasn't really into the gaming card thickness. So I brought samples of cards to the print shop, and I said, I'd like to get these. Here's an extreme end on some Comic Images stuff, or even some of the Panini, Impeccables and stuff like that, or Immaculate, whatever it is, one of those I words. And I gave them like,
talking about like 35, 36 point, I think,
stuff like that. Everything.
Something like that.
So when I brought Jasmine Allure, she was the first true, really trading card thickness, trading card, like a 14-point stock, trading card. And so I've been going with that ever since. So Victoria is the only one they gave me like, oh, so that's what the rounded corners look like with their metal cards. I do not like these. Like, this is not a gaming card, it's a trading card. So they're very, they know very much so to make sure that I don't get any rounded corners. So I think it's important to have those a trading card.
They do it like that because you got to remember, printing plates are round too when you pull them from packs. So most people are used to that anyway.
Yep.
But those being sharp, being square, I don't think anybody else does that. That right there is what makes them super unique. I really love the fact they're square.
And here's what we'll get later on, and I'll tell you stuff about later on from some of the other ideas when I kind of go on some other points I want to make. But I'll give you one now. Since I'm talking about metals, as I can even have them do die cut metals.
Nice.
So we can be doing die cut metals, and this place is their bread and butter is printing comic books. So they work with Chaos and other companies as a secondary party that can actually print out extra, copies if needed by these companies. So their bread and butter is all these different types, and they're getting into cards. And they happen to be getting into cards, first gaming cards, and then I brought them into trading cards. And so now there's a whole other realm of possibilities for them as a print shop now.
We should talk about how we kind of did the first series. I mean, we did the second series the same way, how the actual base cards were printed up here in Canada. The metal cards were done down in Arizona. And the reason for that was initially, when I was looking up here, it just made sense to me logistically that if I could get a somewhat local supplier, then I could keep better control on things. And the printers in Ottawa, they're a fair-sized operation. And I'd found out sort of inadvertently that they do some of the overflow for Upper Deck. So I said, okay, so if Upper Deck uses them, then they can make a trading card. And that's how we did, we could have made them, I guess, in the States, but it was important sort of to see the quality and see if I could make a card for the price, because the numbers were about the same, if you recall, Tony.
Yeah,
so the cards down there versus here, with the exchange, it came out to about the same number. It was really like a dime apart or something like that. So it was really the same.
Less than that, yeah. It was really close.
So we figured, okay, it doesn't matter. And we realized, and we'll talk about that in a bit, that from a shipping point of view, that wasn't the smartest thing. But then off we went. We made the 50 cards, and you made the medals. And then, of course, we don't have Gary with us here, but Gary Liebler from Joypad did all the custom boxes. Now, at the time, I could have had the boxes made at the company that was printing the cards. And they asked me, do you not want boxes for these? And I said to them, well, what do you got? And I saw their sample. And this would be a very slick looking, with a gloss coated 4-color CMYK, the whole thing. And they gave me a price on it. And of course, I know what Gary's done for Kevin Gust, and he's been a sort of friend of the community now for several years. So I reached out to Gary, and he came up with a number that was a little bit more expensive than the getting it done en masse at the production facility. But you remember, you and I spoke, and I said, you know what? I'm going to eat this little bit of extra cost on this, Tony, because I'd rather keep it in the family. And yes, Gary's stuff might be perceived as being homemade, but I like that. I know that every box is made by Gary's hands in his garage with love for every box, and he's one of us. So for me, that was important,
all in the family, man.
Yeah. So and I love that when you explained to me that way, I thought, you know what? Because we were so worried about crunching numbers and stuff, and you're like, listen, it's going to cost a little more to have Gary do it like that. But listen to me. You said, hear me out. And you told me the exact same thing. It's like, you know what? That makes the most sense, because I think that's important to have that. And he did. And I don't care if like, oh, they look a little home. They look very nice to me. They look very professional to me. And I really enjoy these. These are very nicely done. And
I'm going to tell you guys the truth. I've never done one of those before. So
yes,
I did.
Of course, Adrian laid out the box as well. So
I had never done one of those before. I'm like, I almost had to train myself to do it. And
to think on the right sides of what was what.
Yeah, I literally had to think on the fly. I had to get people to send me tuck boxes from like some of those other indie cards and stuff. I told them to flatten them.
Lines go and such.
Yeah, I told them to flatten them out and send them to me. I'm just like, so I can see what the heck is going on. So I had to train myself to do it.
Yeah, because we figured that out kind of quick, didn't we? It was kind of like, okay, we got to do the boxes now, Adrian, and it's going to take Gary this long, so we have something in a week. And if you recall, again, you played off the backs of the cards.
Yeah.
And I didn't say much, if you recall. I mean, I liked it,
I just played off the same textures and color schemes that are on the card. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to just run with this and see what Paul thinks. And
it worked out great, because I think the boxes, I don't find these to be homemade-ish boxes. To me, these came out very, very nice. I really like them. I like the consistency for both series. It's the same. All it has is series 2. That's it. I think they're amazing. So I think it was the right call to have it done.
I like the fact that it had Gary's love and care in each one,
100%.
Made by his hands, every single box. That was worth something to me.
It's all of us. I mean, every single, there's a piece of all of us in all of these sets, honestly, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it goes beyond the three of us, obviously. We were the guys putting it together. Once we had it out to Gary, he made the boxes, and of course Tony handled the retail on his own. But then there's Nick. Nick helped Tony very much on the packaging side with series 2.
With
He
series
also
2,
designed the metal tracker, which is certainly proving to be very helpful, more so on series 2, but on series 1. And then of course Chuck. Chuck is sort of, most of the hobby knows that Tony, Chuck, and I are sort of a triumvirate, and we're in constant contact with each other. So if I'm telling Tony something, I'm telling Chuck as well, and sending him designs and getting opinions. What do you think of this? Because things came up along the way, like Chef Carl, for example, had passed away. I decided early I wanted to do something for him, but can we? How can we put this together? How can I write a blurb about? So I kind of gave that to Chuck, and he reached out to the Tilly family, and I don't recall how we got it all together. We made it happen, which I thought was great.
Yep, I thought it was important to have him in the set too, because he was already going to be in the set regardless.
Sure.
And his untimely passing, and then reaching out to his wife, and she gave us the go ahead to do it. And Chuck's the one that made that happen.
That's right.
So he went and reached out to him, and he ends up being a third set of eyeballs, or oh shit, I mean, Adrian's the first ones, so it ends up being a fourth set of eyeballs for us to go back and proofread these things. Like, I send him all of my bio stuff for my cards for people that come in the store, and he proofreads that stuff for me.
Well, as far as I know, we didn't make one single mistake on series 1, and I'm not going to say what it is, but Chuck found a mistake on series 2 that got by everybody. That got by you, that got by me, that got by Chuck, that got by me 10 times over again, and we just missed it. Now, if it ever gets brought out as to what it is, my excuse is, hey, you guys are the Americans. But
it's the spelling of a city. I'm guessing
that's important. Like I sent it to Adrian. When I had the file ready to go to print, Adrian, quick eye check, please. Just make sure this is lining up. Does anything look funky to you? Same with you, Tony. And we found stuff like even. I'd gone through it 2-3 times, and then you sent me a list of stuff with some major things that were wrong, like really major that you found. And you can read something 5 times and miss it, as we did on this one card. That's just life, I guess. And I remember back in the CD and cassette days, that happened. I remember once we had to redo an entire run of CDs because the blue of the ocean wasn't blue enough. It was too gray, and stuff like that. Like that's the world of print and proofreading.
It's human error, man. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Like my wife does websites, and she does, what you send me goes up, so when people say, oh, there's a mistake here, a mistake there, Adrian, if I send you text, that's not your problem if I sent you a spelling mistake, right?
I can look over it too.
You can look over it, but
at the end of the day, it's what you got, not what you made.
Right.
So what do you think? I have, and the obvious answer for me here is, well, it's obvious. What lessons did we learn from series 1 to series 2?
Well, there was this business of when I shipped you. The shipping from Toronto was expensive on the boxes. Gary sent the boxes up here. I put them all together on series 1. You sent me the metals up here. I assembled them, sent them all back to you. And then upon getting the shipping bills for back and forth of all of it, we realized, oh, there's a few $100 here that and once you get to $100, that's a dime a card or whatever it is. So it's something that we have to be mindful of. And we were more efficient this time. This time, Gary made the boxes, sent them to you. You kept the metals there. The cards came to me, and then I shipped down a portion of them to get you started, and then we'll go from there. One thing I want to address, because you said it a moment ago about people going into the set from series 1 to series 2. When series 1 came out, first of all, thanks to everybody that was in it. Double thanks to everyone that bought the set. It sold out instantly, so we knew that it was appreciated and going to be loved, and it was a success. But there was some criticism about people that weren't in the set, rightfully so. It's impossible to come up with something like this and get everybody. We did the best we could, like Tony and I, we've been around this hobby for a while with our websites. We do come into contact with people fairly regularly. We watch other people's content. So when Zan has a guest, when Gelman has a guest, when Retro Mike has a guest, and they're talking about wrestling, Card Foundation guys, we learn who the significant people, the guys who take the time to interact with us and our peers in the hobby, they count. So fortunately, through Twitter and through my interactions with people over several years of doing this, I was easily able to put together a list of 50. And when series 1 was done, I was concerned that there are some guys that aren't here, and there was 4 in particular that weren't going to be in it that I wanted in it, and we kind of fixed that on the second go around. But even at the end of the second one, a few people asked, oh, it would have been nice if I would have been asked. And I can apologize profusely, but at the end of the day, I couldn't get everybody. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know if there's going to be a third set. Tony, you have some ideas. We've loosely talked about it, but there was no offense intended to anybody that's not in the set. And by no means are we trying to imply that these are the 100 most important people in the hobby,
No,
or most recognizable, or anything like that. And I will 100% take the responsibility if you weren't in that set and you felt that you should have been. And certainly, please reach out to me. And some guys have, and said, would have been nice. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, dude.
well,
And
there were also some names that are significant within the hobby that either just refused to be in Series 1
correct.
or and Series 2, never
Couple
replied
guys-
back,
couple
or
guys said no twice that were significant guys in the hobby. 3, in fact.
Yeah.
A couple of guys said no the first time around, said yes the second time around.
correct.
Really nice.
Right.
And then we had 4 in particular where 2 guys came into the set the second time around and 2 didn't. And the 2 that didn't, I'll be honest, I wish they were in the set. And we don't have to mention names, but I think people know who they are.
Right.
I meant this to be a set for us as a group to remember this time in history, because life happens fast, and God knows where we're going to be 5 years. Some of us here, some of us won't be. And this has been a fun time with Panini and what we've been doing, and all these shows and the National, and all these efforts that the 3 of us and everybody else that spends their time giving a bit of their hobby time and leisure time towards wrestling cards. I thought this would be nice to capture this, and that's what Tony and I were after. And when we put the thing together, I guess we should mention Ryan at this point, right? Because it was really, he lit the fire for the metal cards. Because what happened was he did a break of the cards, and on that,
Right here in the store.
correct. He because he was in the store, he was able to get them
Yeah.
before most people had theirs land in their post boxes. And Ryan did a break and sort of, here are the 50 guys, and here's the medal of such and such. I can't remember who it was. And the words stick in my brain. He said, now I'm going to take this card and I'm going to send it to such and such at my cost, free of charge. And I would hope if someone pulls my metal card, they pay it forward and do the same. And I thought, oh, that's cool. Nice gesture by Ryan. Didn't think anything of it. But then it started to happen, a domino effect, huh? And then the next thing you know, it was kind of incumbent upon everybody. Who do I got? And I've mentioned this on other shows that probably the most satisfaction I got is the connecting of people that kind of knew each other. Oh, I've heard of him. I've done business with you. Oh, you're here. But, oh, Ric Flair's my favorite wrestler too. That kind of thing. And I've had a couple of people, and I know you have as well, Tony, reach out to me and say, Paul, thanks again for doing this. I met such and such through my metal card, and we just did a big deal for this. And that's the idea. That's what these shows.
We connected to people who never had done business together before, or
correct.
You know what? You're a Seth Rollins collector. I actually have some stuff that you might be interested in, like that. And then it ended up connecting people together. It's like that. So that was a cool aspect of it, because the whole idea really was to put the trading aspect of trading.
That's exactly what I was about to say, Tony.
Yeah.
I remember I DM'd you once all this started spinning off after Series 1. What I told him, Paul, was this. I'm just like, you could have easily sent all of us, because some of I'm in Series 1, and I'm just like, you could have easily sent us all our metal card. But what Tony did, he forced everybody to put the trading back in trading cards.
Right.
And it forced, something that was needed at that moment too.
Because we didn't pre-discuss this. We didn't say, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Based on everything that was going on in the hobby at that moment, it was super needed. And I'm just like, to see everybody my mentions blowing up with, hey, I got this guy, I got that guy. I'm just like, good job, Tony, Paul, Adrian. Yeah, I'm just like, look at this. This is like junk wax era all over again. Hey, you want to trade this? You want to trade that? I loved it, man. Yeah, I'm just like, it was such a needed thing in the hobby, and I love to see it. I'm just like, this is what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about, speculation and market watching and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. If you do this for a monetary reason, cool. But sometimes have some fun.
Yep.
Have some fun, people. I'm just like, take a chill pill. I'm just like, sure. I know some people probably think it's worthless or corny, but I'm just like, you don't know how to have fun anymore. I don't care if you can't flip these cards on. I don't care if you can't flip these cards on eBay. I don't.
But you know what? Somebody managed to still do that too.
Yeah, they did too.
Series 1, and they made bank on it. They made good money on it.
I was thrilled when I got my Waxateria card, and I thought, this is how other people are going to feel when they get our card.
Yeah, a shout out again from me now to them, to Joe and Joe. that was a good feel good thing. Like, holy crap, run a card. That's kind of cool. Cause I remember when Joe and Joe, I was over in the UK with Kurt when they called me randomly through Facebook phone. And I'm like, dude, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning here. It's like that. We're just down. I'm having another beer right now, so I have time to talk to you. And we were, can we pick your brain? They were asking me for some ideas because they had this idea to do what they did. And so, it was real nice to see that. And it's just like, wow, it's so cool. And then I was like you did, Paul, like, how cool would it be? Like, people should probably feel good at getting their own cards like that, or getting their own metal, not just their metal cards, but just see themselves on a regular card. You see guys posting like, hey, look at guys, I'm on a card, and their family thinks it's kind of cool. Like, oh, your uncle Adrian over there, he's on a card, man. He's got his own trading card. Big shot over here, man. Check him out on a trading card.
That prismatic sticker in the Waxateria 2 of you and I, right? They went out, but it wasn't, their set isn't like ours where it's all collectors that can forward to each other. So I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to get one of those stickers. And I know you got one, Chuck said.
Yeah, I did.
And then all of a sudden someone posted one. Here was the break of my Waxateria set. So I'm like, dude, can I buy the prismatic sticker of the checklist stars? And he's probably wondering, why do you want those two guys? But I made him an offer. He took it, done, and yeah, sure. I want that sticker of me and Tony because it's me and Tony. You know what I mean? It's someone else made. It's a recognition, and I appreciate it. And getting to this idea, Adrian, of the fun and the community, that's what these videos are for. That's what the card set's for. That's what the main event at the National is for, and the panel, and these things that we do to try and make it fun for people. The collector series that Tony and I are talking to different people in the hobby and all that stuff, and again, we do it for the love of the hobby, but it's not like we gave out these cards for free. We didn't put a few bucks in our pocket,
right?
All this money goes back into these efforts that, keep the websites going, that keep us afloat and justify doing what we're doing. So we put out the cards. It was a great success. We get to the National, and you and I talked, do we do another one, Tony? But I wasn't sure,
We talked about it for a bit.
Especially with what happened with the 4 guys in particular that were in and then weren't in it. That kind of
that became more of an issue for you than for me. Like,
it bothered me that 2 of the 4 guys weren't in it.
It bothered me too, about as much as getting a mosquito bite.
Yeah, you didn't care as much.
I didn't really care as much because, to me, sometimes there are things where people make their own bed and they have to lie in it. So that's kind of how it was.
No, I was.
I'm not all kumbaya. So for sure. I don't. You don't want to be in it. You don't want to be in it, and whatever your reasons are, dude, good on you, man. That's good on you. Others, I don't think are deserving. And that's just based on the historical significance, at this point. So again, you made your bed, you lie in it, kind of thing. But we sat there at the National, and you thought, buddy, I don't even know if can we gather another 50 people?
Yeah, I thought it'd be good for another 25, 30.
And I said, I think we can. I really think we can.
Yeah.
And then you started kind of after the National, you started kind of like putting some lists together and reaching out to some people a little bit. I guess you did some work, and then you're like, listen, here's about 10 guys. I want you to go after these 10 guys. I'll take care of the other 40 I can go and get like that, but you get these 10 guys. And I remember when we're at the National this year, where we were still in the early process like that. We're like, we got Brett McGrath. We talked to him because we knew we had to have him in here. Who else did we talk to again in the set that we?
Tony O,
exactly.
The only guy in the Brotherhood that wasn't in the first set.
And he needed to be in the set, man. I mean,
of course he did.
All the other Brotherhood guys are in the group, and he's got to be in it.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was thrilled when these guys said yes, they wanted to be in it. It's like that. But getting another 50 people, I told you, wasn't going to be hard. We still got, there's some other people like, we could probably go after.
Yeah.
Like there's
you're going to be on a trading card. Who doesn't want to? I mean, especially if you collect them. Who wouldn't want your own, man?
Yeah, really. Everybody has their reasons for why they don't want to be in it. Some are.
But for me personally,
tech savvy people,
had we not done that second set, and it would have died with the 50, and that would have been the historical record of back in 2022.
It's a nice little time capsule moment.
Yeah, here are the guys. It would have bugged me that there was no Peck in England in it, and that was just a me thing. It was just a me thing that
I agree. Those guys should be in the set
because 100,000% should be in it. Putting aside any differences that anybody else has with anybody. Yeah. Those guys should be in it, and fortunately, we made that happen for series.
Yeah, I mean, because they're prominent figures in the hobby for decades.
100%. 100%.
So how can you? It's like it's kind of like not having, you know, I hate saying this, God, it's like, oh, you're not going to have Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame kind of thing. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you've made some significant things within the sport. You should be, you know, there. And so I get that aspect of it. So,
Yeah, so
I'm happy. I'm happy that they're in it as well. So,
Yep.
those two are in
yeah,
it.
that was a big one for me. That okay, now we're gonna correct
When
this.
you told,
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie, Paul, when you sent me that email saying they weren't in it, I was like, you're kidding, right?
Yeah,
I couldn't
when I
believe it.
when
I'm
I
just
told
like,
you, yeah,
why?
the 4 guys they've pulled out.
And I
Right.
told you I was a little shocked too, in a sense. And I told you, I said, well, I kind of suspected that when we have, you know, for the reasons
Well,
why.
you know,
So
like
I got it.
yeah, you have people that don't like each other, and unfortunately, that exists to this day. And I made my peace with it, and I understand
Mhm.
it. But I didn't take it personally. But I thought, what does that have to do with you being in the card set that represents your peers? But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, everyone has their reasons. And again,
Yeah.
I'm pleased with the way it worked out. The 2 guys that still aren't in it. I'd love for them to be in it. You probably wouldn't, but I'd love for them to be in it in the future. But it is what it is. And again, I'll say this again: anybody that felt they should have been in it and weren't, I apologize for that. But they may be a series 3. I don't know. We're not there yet. We just finished on series 2. It sold out again right away. So let's see. So we corrected that, right? And it looked like we had a chance of making 50. And then I reached out to Matt Cardona. And real simple, real short. Hey Matt, it's Paul. We'd had some communication before over a wrestling card pricing thing, and I explained to him what the project was. Now I believe he was aware of it because it didn't take a lot of convincing. But the first thing he asked, rightfully so, was what's the compensation? Now a guy like Matt Cardona is an entrepreneur. You know, he's
Yeah.
been very successful doing what he does, not as a wrestler, but as a business person. You know, so if I'm an indie Fed guy and I get him to come and wrestle, you know, up in my territory, and I decide to put out a bunch of cards with Matt Cardona in it, I got to pay him. He's
Yep.
not going to do this for nothing. Rightfully so. He doesn't need to. So I reached out to him and I said simply, well, no, that's not what this is. This is for the wrestling card collecting community. We respect you for what you do in the figures. We know you collect cards, and you're going to be with a bunch of other guys just like you that are wrestling collectors. Forget that you're the indie god. We'll say that on the back. Right.
Right.
And he said, yeah. And then he didn't send me an image. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And Matt Cardona is a busy guy. So if I say, hey, Matt, send me an image, God knows how long that's going to take. So I sent Adrian something. And a day or two later, he sent me a note back saying, no, check this out. I'll let you tell the story on that, how you come up with the Matt Cardona picture, because that's where it
Oh,
comes from. Adrian picked that picture.
I mean, it's right. It's ripped right from his website. And I also thought too, I'd rather would have him in like regular garb, like everybody else will be, rather than his wrestling gear. If I could
Mhm.
find a picture, I just ripped it right from his website, and it actually works. So
Yeah, and then I sent it to him, and 2 words, dig it, is what he said.
Great. Yeah, and I also got us Brian Myers as well too. So like that.
Once
I mean that.
Cardona was on board, I reached out to Myers, and it was funny because you remember, Tony, we were standing right with him at the National,
Yep.
and we could have talked to him then, but I hadn't even thought of the idea of, hey, you guys are big in collectibles, you should be in the series. I don't even think we decided if we're going to proceed or not at that point. We might not.
We were still discussing like,
Yeah.
are there 50 people we can get in a second
Well,
series?
just the whole thing, you know, like,
Yeah.
do we want to bother the whole thing? Because it's work,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, I had fun with it, but it was very time consuming. Like
Yeah.
putting all those backs together was, you know, couple weeks worth of doing nothing but that. You know, that was it. That was my day job. So Myers said, yeah, and then you know, everyone obviously contributed their own information, but again, with Matt, I had to come up with everything. So I knew where he was from, and I figured for his favorite wrestler, well, I better put his wife. So then I wrote up a little blurb. Matt Cardona is the indie god who's known for a major wrestling figure podcast and blah 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 blah. And then, okay, what's going to be his favorite card? And I think I picked his autograph card from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, and I put that in. So I sent that to him. And then a couple hours later, I get a picture of his hand holding a Zack Ryder parallel winning the Intercontinental title. I'm like,
nice.
got it. So I made that change, you know, put in that as his favorite, listed that as his favorite card. And then again, thumbs up or like 2 lines, looks cool or something like that. And that was it. So that's a Cardona story. There's nothing more to it than that, really. I asked and he graciously said yes. And once again, I want to publicly thank both Matt and Brian for doing it, because they don't have to. They did this as a gesture to the wrestling card community. These guys normally get paid for this kind of thing, and they gave their likeness to us free of charge, and we appreciate it. So to those guys, thanks from the community.
So going into Series 2 now, let's get into some specifics about Series 2. Well, let's get into the numbers.
Right.
The numbers are, for Series 1, 50 card set, each subject gets 2 metal cards for 100 total metal cards, 100 sets printed. That's it. The printing company actually printed about 104, 105 sets, I believe, sent to you. We only ordered 100. They sent extras. We used those to hopefully, you have a damaged card, we'll send you one, or something like that.
Most of them are upstairs still.
Yeah, so let me get and speaking of Series 1, just so you guys know, it was a complete sellout outside of the last 3 sets. Canceled payment on it, never made them and so I actually do have 3 complete sealed Series 1 sets.
Gold, Tony, gold.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So only 97 sets are out there in existence right now. Here's the other 3. I have them.
Right. And there are some guys that don't have their metal cards that would probably be curious to see what's in those boxes.
And I have no idea. Haven't even opened them, because of those. I never even assembled those. You guys did that, sent to me, and they've been sealed ever since.
Yeah.
Now myself, I assembled. They were already assembled. I assembled and put them all in the boxes myself, and the metal cards and mixed all. I have no idea what's what. So I
exactly.
So those are the numbers.
They're missing from the tracker. I guess we know where the last 3 are.
Well,
possibly, yes.
There's 3 there, and it's possible there's some guys that aren't as active on Twitter that probably don't have those cards and don't feel compelled to send them out, or don't know that that's a thing that's happened.
We don't have a lot of that. We have 3 complete sets. There's some very few singles, maybe 3, 4, 5 of each person, depending on how many you have sitting over there, Paul.
Of Series 1, yeah.
F Series 1. Then we get into Series 2. So we got into Series 2, and it's a whole different story. So we get into Series 2, and Paul and I discussed that once he got Cardona in, well, even before Cardona, once we knew that David Peck and Rob Beelan were going to be in this, we knew that that's probably going to be, because especially David Peck has a reach. So we knew that that's probably going to create some kind of demand for that from a insider in our little bubble hobby site. But then once Cardona got involved like that, I go, dude, we can't do a 100 print run on this. We just can't. We toyed the idea of 125. Like, that's not going to work out for the metal cards. How do you do it for the metal cards? So 150 became like, you know what? Now we can take, 50 subjects, give them 3 metal cards each. That makes 150 50 sets. That's
how you decided on that. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, just so that there's one for like.
So, and then just being from a collector standpoint, a mental collector standpoint, that makes Series 1 even more collectible, because only 2 of each metal cards, and there's less print run, and all those little funny little, things you go through your head.
Yeah, those little collector, flip it on eBay thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's address why we carried on with the numbering and tie that into the email you sent me one day, Adrian, where you sent me a bunch of proofs that were green instead of burgundy.
Oh yeah.
And your comment was to differentiate between Series 1 and Series 2.
Yeah.
Tony and I were well into that conversation by that point.
Yep.
Because
I didn't know y'all had discussed that though. I'm just like, I don't know, for some reason in my head, I'm thinking about parallels, and I'm thinking about Series 2.
I'm talking
because
like,
I'm a designer, so I'd be thinking about these things.
Some guys didn't want to be in Series 1 because of other people in that series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing was, okay, this is an entirely different box set, but it's still the same wrestling card collector series.
Still the same collector set. Because
Right.
now you're talking
You're
1
still
through 50
part
and
of the
51 through 100
community of guys. It's
because
like
I didn't know that's what you guys were going to do. I thought it was going to be like a Series 2 starting at card 1 again. I didn't know you were going to continue the numbering. So it makes total sense when you guys said you were going to do that. I was just like, okay.
So the first set was done alphabetically, and that's why I'm at number 1. And had I had been in Series 2, Matt Alves would have been number 1, because that comes before. So that's what we did. We went A to Z on the first 50, and then on the next 50, same thing. We went A to Z, but we started at 51 and carried the numbers. And my thinking was, if I see these cards laid out on a table, I don't want to. They're all part of the same set. It reminds me of like the Topps flagship, and then they put out Then, Now, and Forever.
Yep.
And continue the numbering because it's part of the same mindset of release. And I remember, Adrian, when you sent out the greens, I liked the greens. And it reminded me of, there was this German magazine series back in the day of Disney cards. And they did the same thing. The first set
Bravo.
was, yeah, that's right. The Bravos were orangey. And then the second set were green, right? And I thought, I gave it thought. But then Tony and I, we had that conversation that night. We landed, no, cards look the same on the front. We go 51 to 100.
Yep. Yep. So essentially it is all one set split over 2 series.
Correct.
And if there was a series 3, it'd probably go through,
we
101 through whatever.
Yeah.
But so on this one, Paul placed the order for 150 sets with his printer.
Right.
They sent him exactly 150 sets.
No
Okay,
overage.
so we have no overage.
No extras.
No extras. That's fine. That's what we ordered. That's what you got. So I get it. So he sends me X amount. I don't know how many you held back. I think you kept 40 and sent me 110 or something like that. So I was confused by that, which still that's confusing to me why you wouldn't just send everything to avoid the shipping costs. But clearly we didn't learn everything from series 1.
No, you know why? Because they sent me 2 boxes and 1 box was already packed with that. So I just sent that along.
So I get them. Nick actually helps out with this particular series because now we're in charge of collating all this stuff. Now they're already in numerical order already. The manufacturer sent them. God, rubber band, you bloody savages. You don't rubber band them. So they're all rubber banded. Nick goes through them all during store hours. We're sitting here and he pretty much went through and checked to make sure everyone had 51 through 100, making sure they were all complete. And then kind of goes, dude, this one's really damaged. And oh man, this one's really damaged. So we had some issues where it ended up being where he consolidated everything he possibly could to save. And we had about 10 to 12 sets that needed to be corrected because they were just, there's no way we can send these out. Now, did a couple bad cards get out and still, get past the quality assurance? Yes, it's just 2 dudes going through this stuff. Okay. So sorry, that wasn't intended. We took care of it. So I think Paul then said, you know what, we're like, let's try and get about 20, 25 sets to kind of offset.
My batch, I had a few that I didn't like the centering on that were like badly centered.
Yeah.
Because I had some that were fine and then some that were noticeably bad. So I think I pulled 8 or 9 from what I had.
Okay.
So I think I asked for 25. I asked
25 sets.
I made a complaint that I said, you know what, we're whole if you send me 25 complete sets.
Yep.
Then for sure. And that allowed for there maybe to be a 4 or 5 overrun on 100.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Just in case. Right.
Oh no.
No, they're not going to send me.
There's
they're not going
more?
to send me 25 sets.
They sent another 150 sets.
They replicated the entire order again as a customer.
Which now I tell it to my
Wow.
wife. I tell it to my wife, and my wife goes, as a manufacturer, that's the right thing to do. That's what they should do. And I go, okay. I mean, we would have been happy with the 25 sets. Now Paul and I are in a position like, what do? We're going to have.
We have a print run established.
We have a
So
print run
150.
established.
Yeah.
So now we have a legit print run of 300 sets but still only 150 metal cards total. So
150 boxes.
we're not printing any extra metal cards. That's it.
And remember that I promised Cardona originally 100. Then I reached out to him again, said, look, this thing's going to sell out instantly. I'm going to do 150. Because in fairness to them, they're giving me their likeness for free. And if I'm making 1,000 of them, then, they want to taste.
Of course.
Right. So the fact that we'd announced 150 means that the official print release is going to be 150. The fact that after the fact, I got another whole shipment again. So I said to Tony, now what do we do?
And we still haven't decided that yet. And
No,
we have
we haven't.
ideas. We have
Oh,
ideas.
y'all still
of what
have
we
them.
We still have them.
Yeah. Well, they're here. I mean, they could be discarded, right? I mean, I can't send them back. I mean, they're here.
Everybody's already received. All orders have been shipped out.
Right.
I have 2 extra sets of Series 2 still sitting back. I have 3, but Marco, who's in the set, he lives here local and he's going to come pick it up. I kept some extra ones before because when Ryan was here, he only wanted to buy 1 set. He ended up buying 3 or 4 sets. That's why we kept some here.
Right.
So I only the initial for Series 1, only 90 sets were made available online of the 100. I kept 10 here because I knew Nick was going to come buy his set. Ryan was going to buy a set. I didn't know Marco, and he's not even in the set for Series 1. He's in Series 2. He bought a set, so all the stuff that I had allocated those extra 10 sets for ended up only being 7. That's why I have 3 left over. So I still have a box back here that has all the extra singles out of it. So when Corey Basson, you know, he got his damaged cards like that, whatever, I sent him 2 complete sets. I took them out over here. I thoroughly checked everything. They all look good. I put them all in it. I took extra special care of it, sent him on his way. So I have those here to take care of anybody who had damaged cards like that. We could take care of that, obviously. But now we're going to have well over 100 of everybody's single cards. Maybe this is a question we ask the audience. Do they want us to sell those cards to them at some reduced price, like really cheap price, you know, $2 a card or something like that? Because some guys are asking $7-8 a card on eBay from Series 1.
True.
Or do they?
I don't know what to
in a
do.
box in a corner, like all my real estate flyers and everything else that's up there, you know. This was something that was unintentional, and I sent a note back to the printer. I said, look, guys, really appreciate the gesture. So, you know, it doesn't do me any good. We can't sell these. Yeah. It's not like you sent me that many more, we can put them up for sale, because we just can't. However, we want to be completely transparent that these exist.
Yes.
Because if all of a sudden at the National, people see me giving out singles, they're like, hang on a second here. I thought that set was sold out.
Yep.
Yes, the official set with the metal in the boxes.
Yeah.
Yep. Official of these is 150 for Series 2.
Right.
But having loose singles, you know, I have ideas that I like to talk to Paul. You know, I'll talk to Paul about it, you know, off air, of things that we could do with these types of singles and stuff like that. So just again, being fully transparent, I want to make sure. I thought it was important that we were that way. I remember that there was a little bit of worry in your tone, Paul, about like, you know, oh God, what should we do? Should we tell Matt this? Should we tell Matt that? I said, just tell him the truth. Yeah. Just tell him the truth. Like, this is what's happened, man. Like,
yeah,
we've always intended to be 50 print run. I mistakenly told you it's 100. We were advertising as a 150 print run.
Yes,
we just want to be aware. It's not going to be a problem.
When I reached out to Matt, I told him this is what happened on Series 1. We did 100 sets with the metal, and he didn't remember about the metal, if you recall.
I saw that. What the hell is this?
Exactly. He didn't recall that we did the metals as well. And when the first Cardona metals came out, Matt texted, "What are these?"
Yeah. Which, by the way, for the official record, there are officially 4 Matt.
Because you were going to give that one to Matt. I remember you told me that if people don't give Matt his metal card when he comes to Arizona, you're going to.
I will give it to him, because he's coming here next month for GCW. Right. And if I'm going to bring it with me, and if he's there, I'm going to hand it to him.
That he might not get his, so as a gesture, you're going to thank him for his participation and give him a metal card.
Yep.
Right.
So
that he could have one.
Just wanted to be fully transparent about all that stuff. So, you know, that was just crazy. I remember that morning you didn't even text me, like, you just called me, you go, hey, so I got the replacements in. Guess what? They fucking sent me 150 cents.
That's wild, man. That's happened to me before too, though, when I printed cards on my own or something like that. It's weird with these print companies. And I'm just like, either when it's sending you extra, but one time I ordered 100 or something, they sent me 200. One of the main print companies I'm using. I'm like, how do you do this? I'm like, I can't do anything with these.
Right. Well, this was a makeup gesture. So they're trying to over deliver because they fucked up on the first. And like Tony sent me the pictures of, it was actually Barkov, the governor's cards on the back. We hadn't noticed Tom's Viking cards. And we made good on those. I don't know. I haven't heard from Tom yet to see if he
messaged me. He messaged me 2 days ago. He goes, "Oh, I think you sent me some either by mistake, or do you want me to sign them and send them back?" Or
we want you to have clean copies of your cards.
I want you to have clean copies of your cards.
No, because the ones that he posted, you could see that they were slightly damaged, and he was so cool about it. We appreciate it. This is Tom the Viking, and we said, Bastion full sets. Tom, send him makeup cards.
Yeah.
You know, so. We do have extras of singles, and we're going to figure out how to do it, but we're certainly not going to profit off them in any big way, because again, you know, my worth to Cardona was 150 sets, and that's all there is.
Yep. And so,
which it actually is, because only the actual set that's advertised includes the metal cards.
Correct.
Includes the metal cards and a flip top box. That's it.
Right. So, but you don't have 150 extra flip boxes.
Nope.
So all you have is the singles. So
The
I don't know.
singles.
Tony, you could probably throw them in a bin and tell kids to grab them at the store. I don't know.
Well, at the national last year, I was handing them out to certain people, and some have asked, do you have any more? Because people don't want to spend $40 just to get another card of themselves. We get
because
that.
we get that some people are like, hey, I love to pass that to my family, like my aunt, my cousins, they're like that. So
Right.
I get that. So I think we got to find a way to get these cards in people's hands that we got to find a way. So
yeah,
but I mean, obviously I don't want to have the expense of having to mail everything out to all these different. I mean, it starts to add up after a while. It starts cutting
the problem
into
with Series 1 is ended up on eBay, and they were going for $15 a card. And it's like, well, hang on.
Still on eBay. That's
not the idea.
No.
Right? That's not the idea. If someone's willing to pay $15 a card, get in touch with Tony and I. Can't help you on your medals. But if you need a few for your grandma or what have you, we can
take care of you. We'll take care of you.
Is what we're getting at. Because again, this wasn't done, with the idea of, when I was younger, certainly I was profit oriented in everything I did. But now as I get older, I'm like, let's do some stuff for fun. And this was really a community building exercise and just having fun. And I had a great time with you, Adrian. And thank you again for your professionalism. Guys, if you need any sort of graphic design, then this guy's your man. He no questions, does what you want, fast. You don't have to.
Fast as possible, considering.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But
some guys you have to micromanage like fuck. Yeah, you have to watch everything they do, and you have to give them explicit instructions on everything. Once you and I caught a groove, Adrian, every time there was something that wasn't quite right, this guy's arm needs to come down, this guy's background isn't right, whatever, right. Oh, this guy doesn't like his picture. And we were always cool. You don't like your picture? No problem. We'll redesign it again. And I thank you for that. Because when Adrian and I started, I defined the project. Okay, you're going to have to do 50 layouts, because I can't do the blacking out the way you can. I don't have the software or the time or the expertise. And you did way more than 50 with people's minds and everything else. And you never once said, Paul, I need a little more scratch for this. You never asked for any of that. We set on a rate that, and you honored that the second time around. And it was arguably a bit more work the second time around.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, but
again, this is for the community. This is for the community. I mean,
exactly. That's why
you guys support me too.
Today.
Yeah, you guys support me too. I mean, I ain't a super collector or nothing like that, but I'm like, you guys have welcomed me to this community, and I'm thankful for that. So I'm just like, you know what? I ain't trying to break you guys or break the bank.
No, you're an asset to our community, and we appreciate you, dude.
Right. So I'm just like, I'm part of the community too. So I'm just like, this is a passion project. I'm not trying to break you guys. You ain't trying to break the community either.
Yeah.
So
now I remember the last card in Series 1 that I was waiting for was from Adrian Brown. And I'm thinking, dude's done every other card, right? I finally got this one, whoever the last guy was. And I'm thinking, why doesn't he want to send me a card? And then he finally sent it.
I was just waiting on to do myself. I just want to make sure everybody else was right. So.
Guys said the best for last. I mean, come on.
Exactly. I was trying to convince Paul to make me the last card in the set, but he was like, no, it's alphabetical. I was like, okay, never mind.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, like maybe the guy who designed it the last
people care
card.
about the numbers, like on Series 2, one guy asked me in particular, can I be this number? It's a lucky number to me.
We had a couple guys like that ask, like, oh, can I have this one? It's the year I was born. Yeah. Can I have this one? Because that's the year I graduated.
And then they had to tie a number. When we did the final set, when I sent out the proofs to people, a lot of times the numbers weren't the final number because I was sending out proofs before we had actually finished building the set, right? Yep. So Adrian and I are designing the first 20 guys when there are another 20 guys that haven't even been invited yet. So the numbering, I didn't get to do the numbering till the end, till I could line up everybody alphabetically. Then we got guys like Blowout Buzz, Tony O, Polly Frog Nuts. Where do they go? Is Polly a P? Is Polly an F? Is Polly an N? So that kind of thing. But you make an executive decision and go.
So it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that about people using these different names and stuff like that. I made a point in my show notes I sent over to you as well. It's like for me, other than Amand, I find it quite silly that we allowed so many people to have a pretend gimmick, wearing masks and or covering their faces with a card like that, and then people started taking like parts unknown, and it's like they're like living a gimmick now. It's like that. It's like,
you know what?
It made it fun. It makes it fun and interesting.
Brody the Kid. These are guys that are significant names in the hobby. They pick parts unknown.
Parts unknown.
Chris, I've always said put on the Hardy mask, the Uncle Hardy mask, and a lot of people actually like that.
Yeah.
I've always said this though. this is something you just have to deal with. When anything is tied to wrestling, it takes on the personality of wrestling.
It does.
It
You're
never
right.
fails, man. People be making gimmicks, turning heel, cutting promos. I mean, you see it online.
Oh yeah.
That's just what it is, man. Anything involved with wrestling takes on its personality.
Yeah,
of it.
true.
So
Well, we've seen that in the hobby, haven't we? Heels and
Yes,
faces.
that's what I mean.
I was putting my show notes together for it, and I was like, because I told you, Paul, like I write things down into an email as like show notes, and it's how I feel at the moment. So a lot of times I don't hit that send button, or it just sits in draft forever. I have
like all
dozens.
them tweets. Like all
I
them
have
tweets.
I have dozens of tweets sitting there and just sitting there waiting. Like one day, like that's probably not the right moment to put that. Like I'm not ready to take that, the repercussions of that tweet. So it's just usually heat of the moment kind of thing. But when you started sending me the pictures, like draft, I go, another mask person, another this. I go, well, like Adrian said, man, it takes on a personality, man. It takes on the whole person of being a wrestling thing. So I get it.
We're still wrestling fans in the end, Tony.
100%.
That's all you got to
puts us here
remember
in the first place.
Think about it that way, man. I mean, don't take it personal. So,
but on the flip side, here is what Series 2 did that Series 1 did not do. It did create some drama that was unnecessary within this hobby. And that's not the point of this card set or this series like that. I think I wrote it to Paul already once before in a private message. I wrote it in our show notes. And I had said specifically, I said the wrestling card community seems to actively be doing its best to set itself back into being a joke niche within the trading card community. And it just seems to be, and our set kind of helped fuel that for some reason. I don't understand why that is.
I mean, you got to remember, it's the whole premise of like, why would I want to collect a bunch of collectors? But it's still not getting through to these people. I'm just like, remember how you were when you were a kid. Just collect cards. That's all it is. Some people just think it's cool to be on a card.
Yeah,
that's it, man. But people, it's always through the prism of making money. It's always through the prism of the market.
It wasn't,
You know
but
what I
this wasn't, our series wasn't about the making money thing. It just
we
ended
know
up being like,
you and I know that, Tony.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, there's just always going to be that segment that it's only just about the monetary aspect of it, or why am I collecting this, or why am I doing this? And
well, it turned into a bunch
So-
of name calling and all this bullying crap and all this, like, you know, there's some
Well,
of us.
the big
There's
one
some of
was-
us,
was
myself, Paul,
metal cards.
Chuckster, other guys who've been in this hobby for, you know, we've been doing what we can, you know, the David Pack, Rob Elands, who've been in this hobby for 10, 15, 20 plus 30, and Paul's and Chuckster's in my case, over 30 years.
Right.
We're getting up on 40 years here almost.
Yeah.
And it just seems like just doing the things that we love so much about this hobby over the years, putting out a price guide, putting out a WTC, putting out, you know, a collector series now, all these things have become like these steps to like for the passion and the love of the hobby. And then even having something so innocent and supposed to be fun as these collectors things sort of getting like, who the fuck are these guys? You know, like, oh, collectors, like that's like the most egotistic, like, I mean, it's then just don't bother with it. Why do you have to be so vocal about it?
Like three of one guy's metal cards being held up for spite. I just shook my head. Like, how dumb is that?
Hey, you know, I wish I had $1,500 to just blow away like that. I mean,
Yeah, you know,
I'm pretty close to Vegas, man. There's plenty of cat houses out there. I mean, get me a long way. So it's just supposed to be a fun project, and it just kind of out of control. So I don't understand that. But that being said, my final point here that I have, because I had these little Tony points on here, was I had ideas for if we were ever to do a series 3. And I alluded to one of those earlier of like what we kind of cool for a series 3. The print company I do the metal cards from has the ability to do die cut metal, also regular die cut cards, also glow in the dark cards. They in different shades, like your old school, you know, posters you had like that bright greenish yellow, or like a Lady Death type of thing with like a bright blue, you know, glow. They have those abilities to do that kind of stuff on trading cards. I thought maybe make a smaller print, a smaller set, 25 card set.
Let's put it out to the community, because we're just spitballing now. We haven't talked about any of this stuff, but people have dug the releases. We're more than happy to carry on doing something like this if it benefits the community. We'd like your feedback. Like if
100%.
people would like to see a series 3, you know, of 50 new faces, that we can't promise. But we've got 100 guys. We've got a lot of different. Chuck kept coming to me with different ideas of cards that we could make, like the panel at the National, and in this, and whatever
Yeah,
card like that.
we
You know,
talked about
we
that.
we could get, you know, with a guy like Adrian on our team, we can get real creative, design wise, and do
I
split
mean,
cards,
you know,
all
if you
sorts of
want,
stuff.
if you want to go true, you know, how I recreate cards, you want to do an immaculate moments card of all you guys at the panel, I could do that.
Yeah,
You know,
there's
I could recreate
I
something
thought
like
about,
that.
picking some guys and maybe random autograph cards instead of metal
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. Again, all in the spirit of
Just
fun.
just fun stuff.
Yeah, because 95%, well, I think everybody that was in it, almost everybody appreciated, you know, got the right thing out of it. The thrill of being on a card, having fun talking about it. And it's good for everybody because it gives exposure to all of us. Some of us just by fluke more than others, you know, like some guys haven't had their metal cards pulled yet. And that doesn't mean that they're not significant in the hobby. It just means that no one's pulled their metal card yet. And from what
I'm
we
the
could see,
non-collector from series 1. Both of mine got pulled first. Ain't that crazy? So,
yeah. Yeah, like for me, I got my metal card. Neubauer pulled my metal card and sent it up to me. And of course, I'm in Canada, so you had to pay a few bucks extra. And then the second one was Drake Magruder's mother-in-law. And then he said, "You want me to send it up?" And I said to him, "You know what, Drake? I've got the one. I kind of like the idea of your mother-in-law being the owner of number 2. I always know where it is. You know,
I almost
I
didn't
get one.
want
I
mine.
would like my buddy Alex up here hasn't gotten his medal. Evan Bovey hasn't gotten his medal from Series 1. You know, the verdict's out on Series.
I've only got 3 sets. Those guys have 2 each. So those 4 cards, I can't have all 4 in 3 sets.
No. So that there's a couple of guys. Someone else I just can't remember just now. But not everybody.
Really and truly, I almost didn't want mine because I just wanted it to be out there for the fans. I mean, but Aaron was insistent on sending it to me. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I still got it. It's on my desk.
I got my,
you know,
I got my first one, and I want to say it came from Kevin Gus, I think. And I was like, when I got it, it was bent.
Oh, really?
It got sent in the mail. It was like, it was bent. Like bent.
Ah.
Like, that doesn't matter. Huh?
Did you get the second one?
I got the second one too. Yeah. So I had the second one. So it was really nice. But
yeah. So for anybody in Series 2 that didn't get their metal cards, they just landed a week ago, you know, and there's sets floating around still, even though we're sold out of finished sets. So
everything is officially sent out there. I mean, I like to contact Cardona, make sure he got his. I sent him his and Brian's.
Yes, we sent them their sets, of course, but even their medals, yeah. I don't know if the guys that got Cardona have sent to them, but like I said, you've got that fourth one as a backup.
Yep.
I don't know. We haven't talked about what we're going to do about David Peck and his medal, but well, that's another conversation.
Another conversation for another time.
I would like the man to have his medal card, you know, despite however much someone else might try and pay me to not have that happen.
Yeah, again, that goes back to my second point of my little Tony bullet points here about you know, trying to set itself back. It just I guess it's part of the growing pains, and I've said this many times on other shows, of being you know, wanting to be accepted in the hobby as a whole. It's part of the growing pains, I guess. You're getting big to a certain point. Well, you want to be like baseball card collectors and basketball card collectors. Well, they have all this drama going on there, so you're going to have drama too. And I guess what better niche to have drama than wrestling? Because that's what we're all about.
The baseball card hobby couldn't do this. It's too big. We're just at that point now. It might be a tipping point, you know. We're at this sort of juncture where we haven't really achieved critical mass, but there's enough sort of groundswell support amongst a good number. Like I got the first 50 like that, and it didn't take long to fill in the next 50. And I don't doubt that we could easily do another 20. I just don't know another 50.
Yeah.
And it's not an indictment of anybody.
There's certain guys that we've wanted, and a couple of gals I can think of too, as a matter of fact, that just either no response back from them. So I don't know if stuff was sent to dead emails and stuff, or just said, you know what, I appreciate it, thank you, you know. And
but
I think that
we've got the lion's share. You know, there was one comment, I've never heard of any of these people.
Yeah.
Really? You've never heard of any of these 100 names in the wrestling card hobby?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, then I don't know what wrestling card hobby you're in if you've never heard of any of these names.
I was like, you know what's funny? I feel the same way about you.
Don't be petty, Tony.
I'm sorry. I didn't. No.
No, but it was a fun project, and thank you guys. Obviously,
was.
I mean, we made a great team, and Gary as well, and of course we have to include Chuck and Nick. Nick on the metal tracker, and Chuck just for his constant support and guidance. You know, like everything we do, Chuck's always in the mix with us as well.
But you know, most importantly, I think it's thank everybody who's been in these card sets, and have agreed to be part of the card sets. Without you guys being in the card sets, it's not as fun. Obviously, we have nothing. So, and the people who really seem to be really excited about, like people were nipping at this, like, oh, any day, like we're making teas. This time I was putting out little teaser videos, you know, showcasing video each cards like that. Going,
good job too, by
I started one. I might as well keep doing them, and it's helped me improve my TikTok videos at least, and which is great. I mean, I was using TikTok, and you can save it before it adds the TikTok logo. So I was creating it and using the editing things like that, and creating them, and then saving it, and then just getting rid of it because now I have the saved video and putting them out there. I'm like, well, I'll just keep making them until we actually get the damn things in hand, so I can go and box them up and start shipping them out.
Yeah, you kept everything front and center, so everybody didn't forget about them. So
yeah, and you know, the response was really good, and I thank everybody who agreed to be in it. It was it's nice to actually start putting some faces to names that you see people, and that's the most the joy for me is, like, you know, you run into people at the national this last year, it's like that, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like I'm in the cards, like, oh you know, they recognized us because of the podcast, they recognized because of the card set. So it was fun. You know, people were handing us cards to sign their cards, which is
loads of people just
weird.
signing these things.
I like that.
Yeah, it was very
it's
cool.
like,
and again this year in Cleveland, it'll be the same thing. You know, I'll have a whack of singles, and anybody that's there, I'll be looking for signatures.
Me too. I got a whole binder outside of my Dexter Loomis one up there. I got a whole binder of just our card set.
Well, Ryan got all 50 of the first set.
Yep.
He got most of them.
Did he not get all 50?
No, I think he got everybody.
Carl.
No,
I think he got everybody.
I think he got most of them.
Everybody except Carl, obviously.
Check with that again. I think he got them all. I think.
Okay, I'll check with him again. But you know, I don't know if no one's made a clear they're going to go after signatures in this one. It's like that, like they got a whole set.
Well,
like
actually,
that,
Peck went and got Cardona and Myers to sign
nice
their cards for him, which
that'd be the first.
Was amazing. Yeah,
I think cool. Didn't Pete Lynch take one too? I think, and get one signed. I don't know if he bought one because he was there too.
Yeah,
he was at that same thing with them. So I don't know. I have to ask Pete. Shout out to you, Pete.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a fun, mostly fun. There's a lot of stress involved here too, because we had deadlines we wanted to make in certain things.
I had no idea all that stuff was going on behind the scenes, guys. That's crazy.
I to be again fully transparent. There were times like, you know, Paul runs a tight ship, man. He runs a tight ship, and he sends me stuff like that. He goes, I need this. I need it by now. And I'm like, dude, I don't work for you. Stop. And I'm like, shit, but we got to get this done. And the store takes a lot of my time, and it takes a lot from all the things I'm doing. Like, I'm supposed to be home now. I close at 5. My wife gave me permission to be here to do this. And
you work for your wife.
I do work for my wife 100%.
That's who you work for.
Yeah, exactly. So it does say the wrestling guy, but it's really the wrestling girl store. So it was a fun experience for me to do these things. I've for years I had thought about having a trading card done for something for WTC, and it never got done. I had worked my relationships with Fleer. I'd worked my relationship with Comic Images. I took a tour. I had my buddy Jeff Zapata, who worked for Topps for 13 years, got me access to the Topps facility when I was in New York, and I got to go and meet the vice president and talk about WTC, and nothing could ever happen. Nothing ever happened. Like, oh, it'd be so cool if you put out your next, you know, Heritage set. You had a WTC promo, so like that, you know, for the Heritage set, it'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I could think about something like that, and never happens, you know. So to have the capability now to put out card sets and working with good people like Paul, like Adrian, like Nick, like Chuckster, like Jerry, getting and working as a team and getting this stuff done and putting something out, I think that the majority of the people really enjoy what we did here. It's like that. And the whole idea was, again, think of it as a tragedy is going on in our hobby. All this distension, this division's going on in our hobby. And all of a sudden this little thing comes out and starts to bring people together. And that first series did that. And so I expected more of that from series 2. And to a degree, we got that.
Oh, yeah.
And
so it wasn't, you know, there was a few little little things, a bit of atmosphere here and there, but that's fine. You know,
No,
like
that's
on
it's
the
what it
whole
is, you
series
know.
too. Look, we sold out again. We did it over
Again.
the Christmas
Yep.
season. If it
Yep.
wasn't Christmas, you'd have sold them out in 3 days again, and 150
Correct.
this time instead of 100. So in my mind, it was a success. And again, to you, Tony, for me, my work was spread out over a 2-month period. And then, of course, when everything comes in, you go through hell trying to get in 3 days 150 packages out the door. You know, so, and I think everyone understands that. Everyone appreciates how fast you
Second
work on
that
stuff.
that link went live and people started buying, all of a sudden my phone got notification, bling, 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 and I go, oh shit! Tomorrow morning I got to start packaging. I get to the store and I go, shit, I don't have enough envelopes. I got to go down and buy some more envelopes like that. Thankfully for the priority mail stuff like that, you know, I every package that went out priority mail, all of them went insured. It all went, you know, delivery confirmation, everything is added to it. So I wanted things to be as quickly as possible. I don't want to be that guy going, oh, because I know in the Brotherhood group, we talk about some of these independent companies, you know, taking pre-orders and taking months and months and months and months before they got their stuff. I don't want to ever experience that. I want to make sure, and the Brotherhood, you guys know who you are. You got first dibs on these last times like that. You guys have been such a big supporter for us. So they got notified first and they got their stuff they wanted first, which was great. And all those orders went out immediately, by the way.
And they all bought pretty much. Like most of the guys bought a set, right?
Almost every single person did.
Yeah.
You know, it's surprisingly, there's a couple guys in series 2 that are in the set, didn't buy a set. And some prominent people who did not buy a set.
They're probably just hoping on their metal card. That's about it.
That's it.
Maybe that's probably it. So, but I mean, you guys got anything else that you guys want to cover on this? I think we covered everything there is to cover about these
No, it was
sets.
it was a neat idea. When you said you wanted to do this, I'm like, really, we could make an episode just on that. But look, we've just spent an hour doing it. And then some.
Yeah. So it's
I just want to thank you guys again, Adrian. You know, it's a pleasure working with you, man. Look forward to doing many more projects together and whatever.
I am here whenever you guys need me, man. Just, I mean, y'all know this is my passion, so.
Well, I was going to hit you. I was going to hit you about doing.
What you do is just fabulous. It's great. We love seeing your posts, your tweets.
Thank you, Paul.
That you're working on, and you know, I've bought some of your sets that you've actually printed. I know Nick has bought more. You know, it's just great stuff. And so
thank you, man.
Yeah,
I was going to hit you up about maybe do I want to redesign my store cards like that? Because now we're in 2024, so all my cards I put out were 2023.
2023, yeah.
And so Nick sent me a message the other day. He goes, the Jimmy Hart one, you have a card you got. It's like, is that going to be like starting number 1 again? You know, they're going to be this. I go, no, he's card number 8.
I kind of like keeping it consistent though, because then you get a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like how we went 51 to 99. Like it shows the breadth of the sets when you can hold up something from last month, you can hold it against the honky and it's the same set.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've already designed it's at the printer right now, and they're charging me an extra $50 to put me in the front of the print line. So I forgot. It's next weekend. He's going to be here. So, and then I did the demolition one already too. I sent those off. Chuck's the only one who's seen them so far. So I had him proofread everything for me, making sure I don't have any misspellings there. So, I mean, that's a Jimmy one for January. So
nice.
And then demolition's a little bit
different. Can you believe that dude's 80 years old?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, when I saw that 80, I said, no, man, it's got to be 70. Nope. He's 80 years old. Look at him. Look at him. That's great.
Yeah.
80 years old.
I'm hoping everybody comes in and says happy birthday to him when he comes in here on the 20th. And then we got demolition coming in next month on the 24th. And then I just landed my my March guest that I'm not going to announce to anybody yet. So, but
congratulations on that. I'm sure we'll hear soon.
Keep on booking, man. Keep on booking.
Got to keep on doing it, man. But that's it, guys. So anybody have any comments, anything you guys want to talk about here? You know, let us know. Should there be a series 3? If so, who do you nominate? What do you do to make it different? What do you do to add some pizzazz to it? Do we do like
because we would definitely need a more formal nomination process to get up to 50 guys again.
Oh, 100%.
You know, because Gelman was very helpful in the second bunch, putting me on to some guys. You know, I ran out of people that I knew one-on-one, and it's awkward for me to sort of approach someone who I don't know because it's completely random. You know what I mean?
Could always put out a Twitter thread. Just tell people to keep commenting, like, do you want to be on it? Or
you know what? I'll do that.
I'll put a Twitter thread. Just tell everybody to keep commenting. It was like, hey, I'd like to be in it. And
I'm gonna put a thread out, and I'm gonna pin it to my to the top, and it's like that, so it stays there. And
a good
just,
idea.
you know, maybe we can start
maybe we need a real nice graphic there, Adrian, to sort of attract.
You know what? Let me throw something against the wall. I'll see what I
you're
can
like
do for
you're
you.
like series 3 question mark.
This was awesome, guys. Thank you.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys, man. So that's all I got for you guys. So leave a comment, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, you know, follow all these guys, all the good stuff. You know, all this is all cliche stuff now. So you know where to find Paul. Paul's over at the Wrestling Card Price Guide. I'm WTC.
KAGE GFX.
That's right. And that's it, man. We're all out.